In this country, we enjoy a good grumble, and mostly we welcome a whinge about those that have power over us, our elected officials. But it could be worse. We could be living in Italy. Slipperio Berlusconi is facing a raft of criminal trials, including one for bribing a witness in a previous trial he was undergoing. He's been in and out of court like a tennis ball of late, and still the Italian people voted him in a landslide. They can sew a mean suit and make a fantastic ice cream, but when it comes to politicians, well, they could do better. In order to put his current travails behind him, Berlusconi has forced through a law that suspends all criminal trials started before June 2002 that carry a penalty of less than 10 years, thereby freeing the courts to concentrate on weightier matters. It just so happens that his own trial falls into that category. Magistrates objected, senators walked out, but there's nothing anyone can do, as he has such a majority in both houses that any law he may concoct to his benefit will be swept onto the state books. What a racket! And in Russia, Mr. Putin, Vlad the Insaner, stands for no criticism with a vengeance. An English-language paper that lampooned the Kremlin has been forced to close, alleging that the publication has mocked Russian traditions. The Federal Agency for Media stormed their offices for what was described as an audit. Apparently this was enough to send the paper's backers fleeing to the nests, robbing the paper of its funding and ensuring its closure. In Putin's Russia, his reputation is so fierce that all it needs is for him to allow his displeasure to be noted, and you will be abandoned by everyone around you, lest they get a one-way ticket to Siberia. So, when we engage in a national sport of baiting our leaders, we should be grateful that, at the present time, it's a game we're still allowed to play. But to be on the safe side, we'd better skip the sushi. It does make you think. We have got it relatively good. On the other hand, 1 in 5 requests under the government's new Freedom of Information laws, you remember those, don't you, are turned down. Jack Straw admitted yesterday. Figures for Mr. Straw's Ministry of Justice show that the government bodies received more than 32,000 requests for information last year. 20% were turned down by officials. The Liberal Democrat Justice spokesman said there are genuine concerns over the creeping use of fees and exemptions as public bodies seek to wriggle their way out of their obligations. Yeah. There aren't any freedom of information. Well, there isn't any, really. You get free access to all the information that they want you to know, and they'll only release the information if it doesn't embarrass the people with the keys to that information. That's the information that you can find out about, the stuff that they wouldn't mind being in the public arena anyway. And they do like to help themselves to our money. The Home Office spent £11 million on taxis, hotels and flights last year. The bill, picked up by them personally, just kidding, by us, has rocketed by almost 50% in 3 years. Taxes, they spent 900 grand on taxis. Cabs! That's up 30-fold from that spent in 1998. They spent 30,000 in 1998, 900,000 last year. That's incredible, isn't it? 30 times increase. The bill for overseas hotels, up 167% from just 2 years ago. It comes at a time when Home Secretary Jack A. Smith is forcing police to take an effective pay increase of 1.9%. The total saving from refusing to pay police officers the full 2.5% rise agreed at the independent arbitration was only $30 million. That's less than 3 times the sum blown on perks for officials. The Tory police spokesman David Ruffley said, as new technology allows for meetings to be held over the internet or by conference call, less money should be spent on flights, hotels and taxis, not more. Yeah, we've got this fabulous new technology. It's called computers and telephones. They could just, I don't know, pick up the phone and have a chat with somebody. But, of course, that doesn't get you a 5-star, all-inclusive luxury holiday on us. A Home Office spokesman said, all travel is undertaken in accordance with the civil service management and ministerial codes, and clear rules are laid out for all staff. We remain committed to... this is the part I like the best. We remain committed to reducing travel costs and avoiding unnecessary expenditure. Their taxi bill, remember, went up 30 times to £900,000, but they're committed to reducing unnecessary expenditure. But that's the whole point, isn't it? All travel is undertaken in accordance with the civil service management and ministerial codes, and clear rules are laid out for all staff. And it's the same with their expenses in general. None of them, apparently, have done anything wrong. They've all acted in accordance with the rules, which does make you think that it might be nice to rejig the rules in our favour. You know, considering that we're paying for it. Just a thought. The phone number here is 0845 6060 973. The text is 84850. And you can email nick.abbott@lbc.co.uk. I always stumble at that because it's almost the same as my own email address, which I don't want to give out on the air any more than I want to give out my address. Somebody texted me the other day, says, I've got something for you. I'll post it to your address. What's your address? Yeah, right. Biofuels are bad. The terrorist that was freed and 2 others. I've got a cancer cure. I'll do this one. This is from yesterday when I was doing Dopey Perps. Actually, I might save that. I might save that along with the Prince Charles and the Gypsies, which is a story I've been training forever and a day. Car tax. Everyone's moaning and whining and complaining about how expensive it is to run a car these days. Do you know that average speeds have gone down? And I know this, that I'm doing this myself. As I said the other day, I'm crawling away from lights where I used to stamp on the accelerator and blast away, only to haul myself back by pressing on the brake to crawl past a Gatso camera and then speed up again, thereby ruining the planet. But I now drive like an old geezer. You know, like one of those old fellows that drives an Austin... what do they used to call those cars that were half made of wood? Austin Maxis or something like that?
The ones that were half made of wood were Morris Minor Travellers.
Yeah, Morris Minors, yeah.
I was thinking of Austin Maxis.
Yes. Like an old geezer in a flat hat in a woody. Record prices at the pumps are causing drivers to slow down on motorways to conserve fuel, is the story. Well, not just on motorways. I've noticed that generally just driving in and out of work. There's very few people who pass me anymore, and I'm doing less than 30 now. And as I say, I'm not speeding away from lights anymore or, leaping towards empty spaces in the road. I'm just crawling along. And I don't know whether it's just psychological, but I do notice that the gauge on the petrol indicator thing, whatever you call it, is moving much less slowly than it was. Can that possibly be... You can't see it. It's like it's like looking at your watch and thinking that you can see the hour hand move. But I am getting the impression that I'm using less petrol. The average speed of traffic in free-flowing conditions on the M6 between Birmingham and Carlisle fell by... Now, this isn't going to sound much, but it disguises a larger truth. 0.9% in the first half of June compared with the same period last year. The small reduction in average speed conceals a much larger fall in the proportion of motorists who choose to drive well in excess of the limit when the roads are clear enough to do so. Hands up who's driven over 70 miles an hour on a motorway. OK, all you people with your hands down, lying. Everybody drives over 70. You have to drive at 80 just to keep up with the slow lane. Apparently people are not doing that anymore. Whilst the decrease appears to be modest, this is 0.9%, it portrays a consistent picture across the UK, where a cross-section of motorists are driving more slowly in order to conserve fuel. And I started doing this before I started reading these stories. Come to find out that everybody else is doing it too. The study also found that congestion has fallen by 12% in the past month because there were fewer cars on the road. The price of petrol and diesel has risen by record margins in the past month. That's a good thing, isn't it? Not 12 months ago, we were all racking our brains trying to figure out how we would save the planet, right? We've got to start driving less. We have to use less fossil fuels, we were thinking. But how are we going to do it? Because nobody wants to give up their cars, And we couldn't imagine a point at which that might happen. And all of a sudden, it's happened. And the first thing that people are doing is complaining about it and trying to figure out a way of getting us back using the same amount of oil again. Oh, the government's got to decrease the taxation on petrol in order to, help us. More people are using public transport. Fewer car journeys are being made. People are driving slower to use less petrol. These are all good things, aren't they? And yet everyone's taking it as a negative. I think we should embrace this. I know it's a controversial thing to say, and I know it's against the tide, because everyone seems to be thinking as one about this. It's too expensive. Come on, Gordon, do something about it. But it's actually pretty much the answer to our prayers. I know it's tough love, and it's difficult. It's difficult while it's happening, because it's happening right now. In a few years' time, we'll be used to it. But as it's happening right now, well, perhaps it's something to be embraced. You're not convinced. Oh, well, it's just me then. 7:45. LBC Travel with Amanda Redmond.
Thanks very much, Nick. Well, still that closure in the city to... Hello!
Here's a call in Somerset. Hello, Arthur.
Oh, hello, Nick.
Arthur.
We were discussing last night with my brother-in-law. Back in the early 60s, I think if it's Googled, it was dearer to buy petrol then and tax your car, and you had to change the oil about every 3,000 miles, and the cars do more miles to the gallon now than they did then,
It was more expensive?
Yes, more expensive. In the beginning of 1960, it was 4 shillings for 4-star and 3 8 for 2-star, and so that in comparison to the wages,
right,
and what the wages are today, and the average wage.
Yeah, well, I said this a little while ago. It does seem, considering what they have to do to petrol to get it into your car, and then what it does for you, it does seem a bit cheap. I mean, it's cheaper than beer, for instance.
Why, aye.
Did you just say why I?
Yeah, I'm Yorkshire, you see.
Yeah, no kidding.
and another thing,
And another thing.
Aye. Well, when you work it out, right, you would get a car in them days that would weigh about 1.5 tons. You do about 14 miles a gallon, and you get another thing like Lost in 7, what might do about 40, but look at the comfort in it and whatnot, compared, but there weren't many of them around. They were just laid up during war, and they were hanging on to them till after the war to put the wheels back on and get onto the road,
But you could park anywhere, though, Arthur?
Oh, yes, yeah.
OK, well, thanks for that stroll down memory lane.
Yeah, all right.
Cheers, mate. Ta-ra.
All right.
0845 6060 973. He's probably quite right about that. It's probably cheaper now to run a car than it was in the 1960s. Well, it's almost certainly, because everyone's got a car now. Hands up who hasn't got a car. No one. In the 1960s, only well-off people had a car, he said, guessing. And the cars were rubbish, too. I can remember our first car. It was a Hillman Imp. It was basically a biscuit tin on wheels. What a pile of rubbish that car was. I saw one in a museum a little while ago, and it's absolutely incredible to see how small it is for a start. Cars used to be tiny. When you go to a stately home, you see that the doors in between rooms are very, very small, as though little people used to live. I don't know why I went into Irish. Little people used to live there. You have to duck to get through, because we all used to be smaller. But we didn't used to be smaller in 1960. And yet you look at a Mini, for instance, an old-style Mini, you could put an old-style Mini in the boot of the new Mini. Gigantic it is. Look at, all cars are getting bigger. If you look at an old BMW, for instance, an old 3 Series BMW, no, let me do this the other way around. You look at an old 5 Series BMW, it's about the same size as the current 3 Series. They've just got huge. And come to find out that these cars are getting more difficult to sell. This is a story that was in the Mail today about this bloke who runs... I don't know why they picked on him particularly, but he runs a used car lot in Wigan. Alan Cole is his name. He's been selling used cars in Wigan for 26 years. He's seen ups and downs in the industry over that time. from tax increases through to recessions, but he admits that he's never been in a situation quite as bad as the one he's facing now. Family cars and larger cars are dead in the water, he says. And I was thinking of buying a large car, like a huge car, massive, enormous, with a ludicrous engine. It was going to be two. It was you know what a V6 is? Well, this was two V6s bolted together to make a W12. How silly is that? Basically, you could nail it to an ocean liner and make it to New York with an engine that big. But I've been put off because, it'll get through... Well, you could just do a circle in the garage forecourt because you could never leave more than 300 yards between you and the next petrol pump. And he says, family cars, larger cars, dead in the water. Everybody's starting to buy, though. Well, we haven't got quite to the point of those little comedy battery-powered cars because you just can't help yourself but laugh out loud when you see them. I mean, people look so squashed inside. And an accident in one of those, well, I mean, you could knock a puppy over and you'd come off worse. They have to make those look a little cooler, but eventually that's where we're going. Family cars, larger cars, dead in the water, he says. We're struggling to shift 50% of our stock because people are just not buying bigger vehicles. He says we've got people coming in wanting to trade their 2-litre Mondeos for smaller 1.5-litre cars because they're desperate to avoid the higher taxes larger cars are incurring. These taxes have wiped millions off the value of family cars. It's a bad situation, he says. No, it's not. It's a good situation. This is exactly what we were calling for. That puffy bloke who tried to be the President of the United States of America...
Absolutely.
What's his name again?
John McCain.
No.
Al Gore.
Yeah, that's right. Al Gore, yes. Him. He's got this film out, which is hard to disagree with. I mean, you might not be totally on board with this whole global warming thing. But when you're presented with all of that information, you think, well, it can't all be wrong. So this is precisely what we were calling for. And I don't know about you, but I mean, a year ago, could you imagine such a situation when it was hard to sell family, not just larger executive saloons, but just ordinary family cars? People are turning to hatchbacks. Not minis, but exactly, but, smaller, tiny puddle jumper cars. The dealership is not the only victim. Its troubles are being echoed around the country as the bottom falls out of the second-hand car market. Astonishingly, experts predict that this year alone, used cars will lose 1/4 of their value, says the Mail. The root of the problem, not the economic downturn, but the deeply controversial government scheme to change the way in which cars are taxed. Put simply, after April next year, millions of owners of older cars are going to face a doubling of their motoring tax under plans to increase the vehicle excise duty. Some of the most popular car makes will be hardest hit, and your tax might go up to it's like 400 quid. £400, which in the great scheme of things is nothing at all, really, is it? I mean, it doesn't help. But what does 400 quid get you? I mean, you can't fill your tank up for less than 60 now. So it's a trip to the parents and back. It's £400. That's... Well, you can barely buy a penny chew for that these days. These are all helping. But like any kind of change, people complain and moan and whine as the change occurs. But I think in 10 years' time it might be seen as a great step forward. Am I the only person who thinks this? Because all of the coverage on this is uniformly negative. I think I am. Well, there's nobody agreeing with me through the glass, that's for sure. You're looking at me like I'm speaking Spanish. Speak inglés? You disagree? Utter silence all round. All right, then, I'll just keep talking myself then, shall I? Blimey. Giving me the silent treatment. We have a How Low auction going on at the moment. It's for an Apple MacBook Air laptop. It's one of these super thin things that Steve Jobs pulled out of a manila envelope with a flourish. Quite right, too. It's an extremely desirable piece of kit. It's worth over £1,000. The game closes 5:30 tomorrow evening, so you have not much time to lose. If you would like to bid on it, you should text LBC plus your bid in pence to 88821. And if it was a bid of, say, £1.60, you would text LBC 160 to 88821. It's new on the market. It's got 13-odd-inch display. It's so incredibly thin, it's quite hard to believe they've managed to squeeze an 80-gigabyte memory in there. Super fast wireless internet technologies, basically anything you'd want in something in such a stylish package. Reverse auction means that the person with the lowest unique bid wins, by which I mean the lowest bid in pence that nobody else makes. The bids will cost you £1.50 plus your standard network rate. Lines close at 5:30 p.m. this Friday. Bidders must be over 16. See the website lbc.co.uk for full terms and conditions. Good luck. This is LBC 97.3.
Property investors, landlords.
The phone number is 0845 6060 973. You can text on 84850. A text. Nick, did you know that you can run an old diesel car on filtered used engine oil? And it's free because no one wants it. I suppose they do throw that stuff away, don't they? In fact, garages have to have permission from the government, and they have to have a special certificate of... I don't know what it is exactly, but you can't chuck it down the drain. You've got to dispose of it in an expensive manner. So you'd think that people would actually be giving you money to take it away. Well, that'd be better. How about people's... Because not only are people driving more slowly, I'm starting to do that myself. And you know what I've noticed? The journey takes the same amount of time. I get home at exactly the same time as I would have done had I been, blasting my way there like I'm Sterling Bloomin' Moss. It takes precisely the same time. And occasionally people will zoom by you, and I'm pottering along like, Mr. Toad. And then, subsequently, as they're stopped at lights, I get a warm sense of satisfaction knowing that I've potted there at 25 mile an hour, and they've been breaking the law by zooming there at 50, and we both ended up at exactly the same place at exactly the same time. Ha-ha, I say. Charade you are. So, perhaps in this straightened times, tips on how to save money. That would be a good idea, eh? Drive more slowly. Use, but that was new one to me. Old diesel cars can be made to go using filtered used engine oil that is free because nobody wants it. Genius. So if you've got any tips on how to save money and, I don't suppose saving the planet really comes into it, but if it does, it helps, then 0845 6060 973. Stansted. Hello, Pat.
Oh, hello, Nick.
Pat.
I absolutely agree with you about, it's about time people have to really look at what they spend their money on and not blame somebody else when prices go up. Rather turn round and say, right, the price has gone up. What can I do about saving money on fuel, etc.? But people don't do that.
Well, no, and we weren't going to do it ever unless we were forced into it.
We've got a country who just puts their hand and said, well, it's your problem, you've caused it. What are you going to do for me? We don't... Well, I was very... I've told you this before, very privileged. I came from parents who said if I moaned, they said, well, what are you going to do about it then? And then you get round to it.
That's an interesting way of dealing with moaning, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we were never allowed to moan, just not allowed. And both our children are very practical, totally independent in their own ways, can sort of do things. But you see, I watch round here in the village. They've all got these huge people carriers, I think they're called.
Yeah.
And did they not think 5 years ago that when they got them, or 2 years ago, or 1 year ago, that they could possibly lose their jobs or prices would go up? I mean, don't people think ahead?
Well, no, because...
I don't think they do.
Well, no, of course, we imagine that whatever we're experiencing right now is always going to be like that.
Well, exactly.
I mean, even down to the weather, for instance. I mean, a couple of days ago it was really, really nice, and you thought, oh, finally, summer is here.
Yeah, and
this weekend it'll be...
Oh, no, it's not raining again. And I will say, well, we're lucky. Well, my father always used to say, if you moan about the weather, well, you're lucky to see it, which sort of put that
What, you mean you're lucky to be alive?
Yeah, well, in other words, there are people who are blind who can't even see the weather.
Well, I suppose so, yeah.
But I find that, I don't know, perhaps I just always look ahead. I read the financial pages. I don't know a lot about economics and things.
I don't think anybody really does, Pat. It's all just guesswork.
I mean, people must have known the prices of... I've already got our central heating oil in for next winter. Got 3 loads of logs coming on Saturday, all ready for next winter. But you see, and then, of course, I buy everything on the internet, so I don't have to go shopping.
Yeah. You're the little piggy that built its house of bricks.
Yes. No, but it's, I'm not trying... Please don't think I'm trying to show off. This happened as well. It was compounded by the fact that when we were first married, we just didn't have any spare money.
Right.
And my first car cost me £5 plus a washing machine.
What?
I know, isn't it lovely?
What?
I know. It would be worth about 5,000 now. My dad found it in a shed. He said, I'll get that going for it. It was a 1935 Woolsey.
Oh, right.
And it'd been tucked away in a shed, and he towed it out, and the chap said, well, you can have it £5. You haven't got an old washing machine I could have. And I said, yes. So, and I sold it for £15 5 years later.
Tripled your money, Pat.
I know. Very good. But the point was we didn't have any money. We couldn't borrow money. So therefore, you jolly well had to make do. And people aren't prepared to do. Well, I often hear people say, oh, I can't do that.
People aren't prepared. No, you're absolutely right. I think the difference these days is that no one is prepared to live within their means,
no,
both their own financial means and
and money is so available.
Yeah.
I was watching. Where was I? I was waiting for somebody yesterday. I'd given somebody a lift to the dentist on the Monday, and I was waiting in the car park. Now it was quite early in the morning, 8:30, and there was one of these food stalls there where you can buy hamburgers, and there were children in their uniforms buying burgers.
In the morning?
Lemonade. In the morning at 8:30. Now, we don't live in we don't have sort of underprivileged poor people in that particular area. And I thought, well, where do they get the money from? The parents must give it to them.
Well, how can you possibly be hungry at that time in the morning?
Well, they haven't had breakfast.
Well, that's lewd. How can you send a child to school without breakfast?
You just tell me. I used to work with children's behaviour problems, and I used to say, what do you have for breakfast this morning? And so many times the children would say, well, nothing. And then you say to the parents, did you have breakfast? Oh, no, we don't have time. That happens in so many families.
I'm staggered. How can a parent send their child to school without any breakfast?
Well, that's why they now have breakfast clubs at school.
What?
They have breakfast clubs at some schools.
What, to make up for the fact that their stupid parents can't pour them a bowl of cereal?
Yeah, well, I could give you a whole programme on that, because I can tell you, if you work out, I used to say to these parents, now, you just work out, when did your child last eat? Would be 7 o'clock the previous evening. So I said, right, 12 hours to 7 o'clock in the morning, till lunchtime, that's another 5. That's 17 hours without eating. No wonder they get irritable. No wonder they get tired at school. End of lecture. I'm so sorry to go on about it.
No, I think that's absolutely right. I'm staggered. All right, well, thanks for that, Pat.
OK, then.
Thanks for the bad news. Cheers.
No, it's the good news. What are you going to do about it?
Well, yeah, I suppose so, yes. Turn that smile upside down, yeah. 0845 6060 973. Blame the parents. That's what Ed Balls said. Parents are to blame for poor behaviour at some of England's toughest schools because they refuse to punish their children, says the school secretary. Some mothers and fathers undermine teachers' authority by demanding youngsters are freed from detentions, according to Ed Balls, whose name I find it difficult to say without smiling. Aggressive parents may even be deterring teachers from applying to be school heads, despite six-figure salaries at some secondaries. One of the newspapers today said we've got a time bomb ticking at the moment, because something like 55% of school heads are close to retirement. 55%. And nobody wants their job anymore. Some talk of giving detentions to pupils, only for the parents to storm in and demand that their child is let off. Who are these idiots? Mr. Balls will outline plans to ensure more parents play their part. It includes a new system of online reporting so parents can be instantly informed if their children step out of line. But unfortunately, of course, it's most likely that the bad children come from bad parents who either don't care or aren't there. So I think by telling parents that when the children step out of line, it'll be preaching to the converted, really, because only the ones that are bringing up children who are unlikely to be misbehaving in the first place are actually going to care that they are misbehaving. Does that make any sense? I suppose so. Yeah, a little bit. They're sending their children out to school without a breakfast. Haven't they seen the advert with a kid who's glowing like a radiator? Just stick some of that in them. Rusks, or whatever they're called. What are they called? Weetabix, made to make your mouth water.
What are rusks?
What are rusks?
Yeah.
I'll bring some in for you. You'll be teething around about now, won't you?
In the next couple of months, yeah.
Couple of months, yeah, right. Something to look forward to. As soon as your voice breaks, then I'll let you, munch down on some. It's 8:14 and a bit. LBC Travel with Helen Austin.
Thanks very much. Well, Upper Richmond Road in Roehampton.
Yeah?
An email. This is on the subject of saving money. I've made a hydrogen generator to reduce my petrol consumption. It seems to work so far, and the bubbles are quite pretty to watch. And it's only cost me £5, but until I go on a longish run, I'm not sure what my figures are for MPG. I don't understand that. A hydrogen generator? In your car? I'm mystified. What on earth, how... That's all I can say. Do you understand that? Still I'm getting silence from you two.
I don't get it because I'm not really a scientist.
Right. You're a social scientist. So am I. It's just shorthand of way of saying we don't know anything. We will come the revolution. We'll be first against the wall, Raj, you and me. Utterly useless. The both of us. Admit it.
Don't lump me in with you.
It's true. I mean, honestly, come the revolution, what are our skills? You know, I mean, if all this is swept away and we had to go and work the land and so on, what can we actually do? Well, I could just stand on the sidelines commentating. They'd shoot me. You could analyse it. No. What would you do, Victoria?
I'm a woman, I can reproduce.
Not without us, you can't. You could try. 0845. This it hasn't really got a theme so far, has it? It's just something I'm dancing around. There's a lot of stories, but they're all bad, and I don't really want to do Abu Qatada because I know what I'll get. Hang him, string him up, slit his throat, like that. None of which I have much of a problem with, as long as I don't have to do it myself. How about there was an inspirational story today. Now, there was an inspirational story at the weekend, or whenever it was, that Tiger Woods last won the US Open. It was the US Open, right? And the inspirational part was that he played through excruciating knee pain. Probably because of an excruciate ligament. That's why they call it the excruciate ligament, because it's bloomin' painful. And despite the fact that he'd been hobbling around and he hadn't hit a golf ball in anger for something like 12 weeks. So he was the least prepared person on that course, and yet, struggling through the pain, he came through and won it anyway. He is a robot. There's something much more impressive than that, which a couple of papers had today, and it sort of put mine and perhaps your personal travails in context. It's a chap called Michael Gaze. At birth, Michael's right leg was twisted, had no calf bone or fibula, no ankle, and 3 toes. It's a rare disorder called fibular aplasia. Affects around 1 in 100,000 children. As the rest of his body grew normally, the difference in the length of his legs became huge, leaving his right a shriveled stump. He could either spend his life in a wheelchair or endure a long process of breaking and stretching that leg. The treatment began when he was 11 months old. Surgeons lengthened his Achilles tendon and pinned his heel into place. If you're eating, this is not a story for you. And pinned his heel into place with a wire to turn and fix his foot in the right position. Okay, so far so horrible. 11 months old, remember. The first surgery, where he had the shin broken and a metal cage fitted, was carried out in 1997. The cage, called a Taylor spatial frame, it's basically a cage tube that goes over his leg and has metal spikes that were drilled into the bone. It looks like some sort of hideous medieval torture device. He had to turn the screws himself each day, millimetre by agonising millimetre, to lengthen his leg. Are you with me? The bone then knitted together and lengthened as it healed. That first cage lengthened his leg by 2 inches over 5 months. Think about that for a second. As a child, never mind about as a grown-up, lengthening your leg by 2 inches. I'm thinking of passing out just reading it. The second operation was in 2001, leading to just under 5 inches of growth in 9 months. The final surgical break was made last year, and by break I mean they broke his leg, not break through, and grew the remaining inches after the last cage was fitted for 62 days. His lengthened and straightened tibia is now replacing his missing fibula. So he's got a missing... Oh, I'm getting a bit ill with this. Michael also had operations to lengthen tendons, straighten the bone, reconstruct his foot, and underwent 7 corrective procedures before the age of 4. The pain at times was horrific, he said. I couldn't sleep or eat. It was at its worst when I had the cage on. It was a constant, sharp, strong ache, and I got jolting pains when I moved. They gave me morphine sometime, which helped. I had to turn the screws every night. I always dreaded it, but knew it had to be done. My parents were great. They wouldn't let me feel sorry for myself. With the help of crutches, he's played golf since the age of 3 and has a handicap of 10. And despite missing nearly 2 years of school, in total, while recovering at home, he's won a place at Aston University in Birmingham, where he's due to start studying business studies and politics in September. He's now 19, and he's standing tall for the first time on 2 legs of identical length. His right limb has been lengthened an incredible 9 inches after 22 operations, including 3 in which his leg was broken. How inspirational is that? I mean, I know it's icky, and you're recoiling from it. And as I read this, I thought, I'll never moan again about any of my wide and various illnesses. I'm going to show this story to Clive when he comes in. I'll shame him too. I'll never forget this amazing story of courage and fortitude, and my moaning about my illnesses is at an end until I next get a light cold, in which case I won't stop going on about it. But that does sort of put it into perspective, doesn't it? The phone number 0845 6060 973. Not many people have any tips about saving money. Just one, in fact, who constructed some sort of device in his car which sounded, well, dangerous, at the very least, suicidal, quite possibly. He's got a hydrogen generator in his car. That can't be safe. Isn't that what the Hindenburg was powered by? I believe so. And look what happened to that. Oh, the humanity. So if you have any tips on saving money, then they would be gratefully received, no matter how insane or crazy. Forest Hill. Hello, Jill.
Hello.
Jill.
Nick. The high prices of foods today. I was quite interested to read a comment from a scientist, a GM scientist, who's basically said that because Britain is, or our governments, more than one, I suppose, it probably started with the Conservatives and continued with the Labours, and long may it continue, in my opinion, but our governments have prevented the takeover of GM crops by the scientists.
What do you mean with the takeover?
Apparently we have, ideally they'd love all our crops, all our seeds and all our crops to be genetically modified and produced, and so we have to pay, hundreds and thousands. I mean, one of the things he said was on the advantages of having GM crops is that they've got this new wheat, or anyway, this new barley or wheat or whatever type crop that can withstand droughts. I mean, that's really going to do well in Britain. I mean, one of the wettest summers ever and one of the wettest climates. But anyway...
Well, you never know, do you? I mean, from one year to the next, we never know what we're going to get.
Well, yeah, but when, if that happens, it happens. I can't see that being a continuum, it'd probably be the opposite for us. So they'd have to invent something for the, the over-wet country. But the point is that I made the connection between, and it was something that one of your callers said, quite a while ago, a couple of years ago. Joan, that's it, the lovely Scottish lady who rings in sometimes. She made one of her conspiracy theory points to you, and I remember you definitely poo-pooed it, whereby she said that, and you were talking about GM crops and, how we're being controlled by the scientists, by big business, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And collusion. And before I go any further, I just want to point out again that our governments have prevented this. So we are one of the few countries in the world that have the least GM-produced crops in our land. Okay, so and that's good for us. Anyway,
well, I don't know. Is it?
Yeah, that's what was reported in the paper.
No, but I mean, is it good for us?
Well,
well, let's leave that aside and go on with what you're going to say.
Joan's point was that she said to you, and I'm pretty certain it was her. She said to you, on her usual conspiracy theories, what if they make the price of food so expensive that we can't afford it, and therefore we have to convert to GM foods purely to provide us with food that's of a low enough price that, the average person or the lower paid can afford.
Right.
And I'm sure you
And lo and behold, that's what's happening.
This is what's happening. The prices are going up and up and up and up and up.
Yeah.
And then this scientist, and I'm sorry I haven't got the paper, so I can't give his name, and he was wearing a suit, but there was a picture of him.
But what did he say? We're running out of time, Jill.
Oh, anyway, he basically said that, you need to, Britain needs to have more GM crops to get the lower prices.
Right.
And,
well, that makes sense.
Saying about drought crops. And I'm like, no, because we don't really have a drought climate. And
but there are drought climates very near to here.
Not here.
Well, okay, but we don't get all of our food from here, do we? We get it from here, there and everywhere, baby.
Yeah, well, we don't always have to. I mean, those that have droughts need enough food for themselves. I've got enough
no country is an island as far as the international food trade goes. We're all importing and exporting to each other. But unfortunately, we're out of time, Jill. This is LBC.
This is LBC
on 97.3. It's news time at 8:30.
Fabulous.
I hope that new Narnia film is better than the first one, which was rubbish, wasn't it? I was very disappointed about that because the Narnia series was some of my favourite books when I was a kid. Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. Well, I suppose if I'd read it now, having been entranced by it as a child, I would probably find the book to be a load of old rubbish as well. Maybe I was expecting too much. But I just thought, it looked like it was done on a budget of nothing at all, and those kids were really annoying, weren't they? They were really irritating. I suppose they've grown up a bit now, so they're not quite as grating. But, yes, I hope it's better. But I think I'll wait till it comes out on telly.
I always find that books never translate well into film.
What? That's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life.
The Philip Pullman trilogy were a very good set of books, but the first movie wasn't that good.
Which movie?
The Golden Compass.
Oh, I haven't seen that. I don't go to cinemas anymore. I just find them irritating. Well, they're full of people. That's the problem, isn't it? People are irritating. You can't pause it. You can't go to the loo. You have to wait till a slushy bit comes on in order to go to the loo. Because they're not going to actually do anything. So it's just going to be annoying. And, I can't last for 2 hours without a nip to the loo, my darling. And you can't pause a movie in the cinema. And it all smells of feet. Ugh. And there's always somebody like munching on the popcorn just behind you, like a cow chewing the cud. And how hungry are you? Put that box down. Does it have to be so noisy? Anyway. So I'm hoping it's going to be better than the first one, which was pants. There was a couple of other stories on the news. I thought, it's all so serious. Abu Qatada has just moved into an £800,000 home. How did he afford that then? He's on benefits. Whose home is that? Is that our home that we've given him? Anybody have any idea? Acton, those poor people in Acton. Can you imagine that?
300 grand in cash, though, knocking about somewhere.
Well, he was found by the police with £170,000 on him once. And yet he's still getting 12 grand a year from us in benefits for him and his 5 children. I blame the parents. Imagine what his parents are like. Blimey, isn't worth thinking about. But how can he afford an £800,000 house? How can a man who's so poor he's on benefits afford a house that's practically worth £1 million? Explain me that.
Maybe that's an indication of rising house prices.
Right, yeah, okay. Oh, they'll be plummeting around that area. I mean, as if the housing market isn't in enough trouble, his neighbours must be holding their heads in their hands. Still, there won't be many crimes committed on that street because there'll be police for as far as the eye can see, which will be paid for out of Abu Qatada's own pocket. Just kidding. He hasn't got any pockets. They don't have pockets in those robes, do they?
I think they might do.
On the inside?
I think so.
Really? OK. An email. Low-tech explanation for hydrogen and oxygen generator. Take water, add electricity. That's how it's said written here. Electricity. Feed gas to carburettor. Don't smoke near it, it'll go bang. Then less petrol is burned, and it runs much cleaner, with more power and less emissions. Oh, that's clear. Does that make sense?
No.
No, not really, no. I've just heard you mention hydrogen generators. I got the plans to build a hydrogen generator from eBay for £4. I'm in the process of completing one soon. I also had plans on how to make your own biodiesel as well. This has saved me over £50 a week on fuel, and any idiot can do it. The seller on eBay has plans for wind turbines, solar water heaters, hydroponics as well. Can't remember their eBay name. Biodiesel. There's another bad idea. And I said that a little while ago. Why in the take back? About 6 months. I said, well, if you're going to put fields that were normally used for growing food, then you'll have that much less food, right? Any fool know that. And they've just figured that out. The rush to develop biodiesel has played a significant role in the dramatic rise in global food prices, which has left 100 million more people without enough to eat. But it's the law that we have to put biodiesel in our cars now. You're aware of that, right? Every pint of petrol that you buy has got something like 2% of biodiesel in it. A review of British and EU targets for the use of plant-derived fuels in place of petrol and diesel is likely, it was reported last night. In other words, they know they've made a huge mistake, but they're going to pause for a while in order to avoid massive loss of face. Because they insisted on this. They made it law. You must have it, they say. Oh, we'll fine you. And then they found out, you know all those fields that used to be growing wheat that people would eat? Well, now they're growing biodiesel, whatever that looks like. Is that are those the fields that are all coloured yellow? Is that oil rapeseed? Is that what that is?
Isn't it just regular grain?
I have absolutely no idea. Well, anyway, they're taking stuff that used to be made into food and they're making it into oil. The environmental benefits of biofuels, such as ethanol and biodiesel, derived from vegetable oil, there you are, you see, previously considered an important weapon in the fight against global warming, are questioned. So they saw the problem, they rushed blindly into trying to solve it, started throwing the potential for fines around like confetti, and then realised, once they got to where they were going, that they made the wrong move. Oh dear. Full-on reverse, or rather, we'll carry out an investigation, a study. More reports need to be conducted. They know they've done the wrong thing. They just don't want to say it this quickly. Since April, all petrol and diesel in Britain has had to contain 2.5% of biofuels, which will be 5% in 2010. So the problem that we've got now, 100 million people have left without enough to eat, is going to double in 2 years. Am I the only one who has to look at a newspaper to remember what year it is? I am the only one. Are you nodding in agreement that that's a common problem, or that I am the only one who has to do that?
You're the only one who has that problem.
Righto. The EU is considering a 10% target by 2010. Fuels. Oh, it's blooming obvious, isn't it? I swear, these people, they should just pass these daft things by me, and I'll give it thumbs up or down. Of course, if you turn... well, we're having trouble feeding the world as it is. And so if you turn over fields that were producing much-needed food to producing fuel for cars because you feel that you should be doing something about global warming, but you don't really want to do anything that's going to affect your everyday life. Because that's the big problem, isn't it? That's what that puffy bloke that was going for the President of the United States of America...
Absolutely.
He was saying that essentially he came to the end of his film and he said there's two responses to all of these stories of doom and gloom. One is, great, I'm going to change my lifestyle right now. And the other is, well, we can't do anything, so let's just forget all about it. And that was everybody's reaction. I can't do anything, so let's forget all about it. I'll continue using my patio heater, and I'll continue driving a car that's got a 3, 4, 5, 6-litre engine. I'll not walk to the corner shop to get the newspaper. I'll drive and forget about the bus and the tube and all of that stuff. And no one was going to change their behaviour. You know we weren't. Until something like this happens, until you start to get hit in the face by ever-increasing bills, and then we're forced to do it. And the change has been incredibly quick, don't you think? No amount of government restrictions, regulations or rules could have made us change our behaviour with such speed. And it's not just our behaviour in a sort of easily measurable, quantifiable way, like fewer people, or rather more people are taking a bus, for instance. I think more people are, like that newspaper article said, are driving more slowly. Now, we've been offered this advice forever and a day. How to save fuel. Well, we chortled at that, didn't we? What, crawl away from the lights? What's the point of that when you got an engine the size of France in your bonnet? You want to show off a bit. Zoom away, it's more exciting. And yeah, right enough it is. But you can see the needle crawl down on your fuel gauge as you charge about town, and get to where you're going at exactly the same time as you did if you just tootled along like a pensioner. I'm quite enjoying tootling along like a pensioner, really, because it's much less... Well, it's less exciting, but it's also much less stressful. You're just sort of drifting along, la la la, in your own little cloud. I quite like it. And all the stress that's involved just sort of dissipates. And it's really quite surprising what, how kind of het up you do get behind the wheel of a car. Well, I mean, it's not really surprising at all. That's what road rage is all about, isn't it? People blasting from one set of lights to the next, elbowing each other out of the way to take charge of whatever lane you're in. And if we just pottered about and crawled around... all of that kind of aggression seems to go out the window. Are you an aggressive driver there, Victoria? You strike me as somebody who is would be potentially out of their mind behind the wheel of a car.
I am quite aggressive, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you want to control yourself, dear.
Well, people get in my way.
Well, that's an outrageous thing to say. And, you know, men often get the blame for being the worst drivers in that respect. Women get the blame. This is all generalisations, of course, but generalisations have a grain of truth. Women get the blame for not being able to park. You don't have the spatial awareness that men do. You're raising your eyes to the roof. It's not true with everyone. Of course it isn't. But it's a generalisation, and there's a truth in all generalisations, right? Can you parallel park?
Perfectly.
Really? If I threw a ball to you, would you be able to catch it one-handed with your left hand?
Yes.
Shall we test that? Shall we test that theory, Raj? Have we got a tennis ball? How about a computer mouse? I'll rip one out the desk here and throw it through the open door. We'll conduct a science experiment. Men, on the other hand, are aggressive oafs who would shout and throw all sorts of exciting finger gestures at you for, getting in their way. If you calm down a bit and slow down a bit, your stress levels actually, they just dissipate. They go through the floor. It's a revelation. Not only do you use less petrol, but you'll live longer. Well, I rest my face. I mean, that just sounds like a recipe for success, doesn't it? You'll live longer, you'll save the planet, and you'll be passing on less aggression and ire to your fellow motorists. Even Raj would agree with that.
No, but he wants to drive slowly.
See? Exactly. You're such a bloke, Raj. That's the most of your many failings, if you don't mind me saying so. It's 8:44 and a bit. LBC Travel with Helen Austin.
Thanks, Nick. Well, the Upper Richmond boys.
An email. You can email me at nick.abbott@lbc.co.uk. Abbott, 2 B's, 1 T. There are now school breakfast clubs at numerous local schools that I've been in, often starting before 8 a.m, just so the parents can go out and work for longer, literally turning the school into the child's second home. Those who have school lunches as well, having 2/3 of their food a week at school. Oh, that must be horrible. Because I can't imagine that school dinners have got any better than they were when I was a kid. Mush on a plate. Also, the teacher... I mean, I'm reliving some of those meals right now. If you concentrate hard enough, you can. Also, the teacher I was observing yesterday, says the email, was screamed at by a parent, literally in her face, about her child being unreasonably reprimanded and did not believe that he was as bad as he was. And when he was in trouble, the mother would scream, word I can't say on the radio, in his face. So then he just does the same in school. Right, copying his parent. It's the parents, stupid. Ed Balls has a point. Yeah, I think he does. Let's have Bermondsey. Hello, Peter.
Yeah, good evening, Nick.
Peter.
Yeah, do you know, it's amazing talking about Ed Balls. Now, I'm extremely political. Now, all these, the dispensing of the cane and corporal punishment in schools and all the ramifications that go with it, the Labour Party were at the head of all this, saying you mustn't do this, you mustn't do that. You talk to the teachers in their Christian name. You don't say sir and ma'am and all that. And now, after the crap's hit the fan, they're all telling us what we knew years ago. So basically, the people who perpetrate all what Ed Balls is talking about is one and the same, the people he represents.
Well, they started it, yes.
Yeah, of course they did. And much to their shame, the Conservatives did absolutely nothing, because the 18 years they were on, they let all this go on. And now the kids can't even read and write. But anyway, that's an aside. You know, yesterday he was talking about odd names for trading names. No.
Kind of.
Yeah, right. Well, I don't know if the company's still going, but I went by a shop in the late 80s when I was delivering, and it had knobs and knockers. And I thought, now that's odd. And because I raced by and I came back, and it was doorknobs and door knockers. Clever, isn't it? No?
Not really.
No, well, it's an odd name as a trading name. But the main thing I was talking about...
Actually, that wasn't what we were talking about.
Yes, you were.
No, not really. It was slogans on...
Oh, I beg your pardon.
It was the daft instructions on packets and slogans on, lorries and that sort of thing. But I do like that as a topic. There's something light and frivolous.
Absolutely.
People call it.
Now...
Interesting... Hang on a minute. Let's nail this down before you go on.
Yes?
Interesting names for companies.
Yeah.
Knobs and knockers, I quite like, yes.
Yeah,
but if they sell knobs and knockers, Peter, that isn't a great stretch, is it, really?
No, but, I mean, you know, the dirty mind comes into play, doesn't it?
No.
Anyway, no, I tell you what, I was listening to World Radio last night, and it was the Dutch, okay? And it's all in English.
World Radio.
World Radio, it's called, yeah. Very late at night I was listening to it.
World Radio.
Yeah.
Something like that.
It was quite interesting, actually. And they, you know...
really doubt it.
You know, the other week you were saying to Joan, you poo-pooing her on her view that the EU have a great deal of say now in how we live our lives.
Yeah. Well, was I? But anyway, go on.
Yeah, well, what was quite interesting last night, the EU have had a vote on sending illegal immigrants back. And they had a comfortable majority, okay, in doing this. And it's 6 months to 18 months imprisonment if they refuse to go back, when they when they do get them back, they can't come back to the EU area for at least 5 years. Now, the irony was, the one party that was objecting to this was the Green Party.
Why?
Well, that's a good question, because if you look at it logically, the vast majority of illegal immigrants come from Africa and all the places where they're desperately poor, where they haven't got a car, they've got no electric light. So these illegal immigrants, now they estimated 8 to 12 million in Europe. Right now, those 8 to 12 million are actually using motor cars, electric light, all the things that the Green Party are complaining about that's given us global warming. So surely the logic prevails. You don't let illegal immigrants come into Europe because they're going to increase the problems to the... I mean, I know it's a convoluted logic.
Yeah, they use too many light bulbs.
Well, absolutely they do, you know. And I mean, these people, I got no problem, Nick, because where they come from, I can understand them doing a runner and wanting to better themselves. But it does strike me as odd that the Green Party that are telling us that we are the problem of global warming, and also, if you say to these people, do you agree in compulsory sterilisation? No. They'll say no, you know, and you think there's a misguided logic.
Hang on a minute, where did that come from? Compulsory sterilisation?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, no, I'm just saying that these countries, right, who can't feed themselves, they keep breeding children, don't they? Now, logic prevails.
They have a higher birth rate than we do.
Yeah, absolutely. So they cannot produce the food to feed the children, can they?
Yeah, as do the immigrants who come to this country have a higher birth rate than
that's right. But what I'm saying
the native population.
If you look at it logically, surely if you're going to have a situation, we all know that. I mean, for example, a couple get married, they have a child, you go from 2 wages down to 1, keeping 3, don't you?
Yeah.
And in consequence, it's the same when you feed people. The more children you have, you cannot feed them. So surely the logic is compulsory sterilisation. Now, the Green Party and people who think along their lines say, no, people should be allowed to have as many children as they like. And it's a nonsense, isn't it? Because
well, you know what? I mean, it's an incredibly controversial thing that you're saying, but there is a grain of truth in there, because the biggest problem that the world faces at the moment is there's too many of us, there's not only too many of us now, but there's going to be way too many of us in 20 or 30 years' time.
And what makes it worse is that these incredibly brilliant people, these technical scientists who come up with all these medical things to make us live longer.
Yes.
I mean, like, I lost my leg in a motorcycle accident. Now, if it wasn't for the brilliance of the surgeons and everything, I should have died.
Right.
Okay?
You've been taking up space all these years,
I am taking up space. It's disgraceful, isn't it? But what I'm saying is that logic prevails. The more children you have, you cannot possibly feed them. So they've got to have compulsory sterilisation.
Well, or we should go the way that China has, which is also extremely controversial over there. They're saying that you could only have one child, which of course has many different side effects, in that they're aborting female babies.
That's it.
Because the male baby is the one that's
and it's easier to
desired.
I mean, I went. The wife and I, we had 4 children in 5.5 years.
Blimey, you're not part of the solution, Peter.
Well, I went to the doctor. He was an Indian doctor, and I said to him, after the second one, I want to be sterilised. He said, you're too young. And he said to me, in India, that they were, at this time, this was early 60s, they're giving away transistor radios to the man to be sterilised. So I said, well, give me a transistor radio, and we're there. Because it never came about. But
in the 60s, Peter, there was nothing on the radio.
No. That's why we had big families. We didn't have good television.
Right, yeah, that's the thing, yeah.
OK, Nick.
No other form of entertainment. Thanks for Peter.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Yeah, he's absolutely right about that. That is the biggest problem that the world faces right now, is there's just far too many of us. I can't remember the exact figures, so I'll make them up. It's something of the order of, it took all of the time in the world that the world has existed to make the first 10 billion, 1 billion population. 2 billion took, almost, relatively speaking, see, I can't remember what the exact figures are, but it's exponential increase of the population, such that the next billion is happening much quicker than the last billion, and so on and so on. And you can see a future in which we'll be making an extra billion people every 10 years. That is actually not going to be too far away. And if we can't feed the amount of people that we've got now, well, it does kind of make you feel glad that you're living right now. That you won't be around to see it. He's looking at the world population. Well, unbidded. Wow. It's almost like you're joining in, Raj. A text. What do you know about car tax for our little 1990 cars? Is it really going up to £400? I don't know exactly. 1990. I think I'd fall into that category. It is going up to, I think 400 is the upper limit, isn't it? Something like that. Another, all week long, my thumb has been aching like hell, but after that story about the boy with a leg, I guess it doesn't hurt that much. Yeah, it does put your little aches and pains into perspective. Absolutely right. I felt a bit ashamed of myself, because I've got my knee's been hurting for a little while. I had a operation, and I might have to have another one. Ow, I've got an owie. And then I thought... Stop whining! Stop whining. At least I don't have to have a metal cage over my leg and stretch my leg 9 inches, when I was a child. So stop moaning, Abbot, I thought. Why do pedestrians just walk in the road willy-nilly and then shout at me? God, I wish I could just run them over sometimes. Right. Well, I think we've all thought that, once in a while, of course. I mean, just don't run, just don't run them all over. Just, pick and choose. I think that's the best way. People do. People are insane. They're crazy. They walk right in front of you, and I know that you should always, the pedestrians always have the right of way, but then they shout at you as though it's your fault that they're wandering around the middle of the road. People. They're not part of the solution, they're part of the problem. Another one. You keep talking about biodiesel. I think bio, perhaps. Can you just put it in your car, or do you have to get your car converted? Oh, well, go ahead and give it a go. No, don't. I think it comes with the petrol that you buy automatically. LBC.
I want a mortgage that looks after itself.
LBC.
Yeah.
That is bizarre news about the high street, right? I mean, have you reined in your spending?
Yes.
Yeah, I think everybody has, and yet quite the reverse is true. And I think London is the reverse position to everywhere else in the country. I think people are going out spending money like a drunken sailor in London. They're going crazy. We're in a mini boom on the high street. Isn't that amazing? You think that that everybody and their dog is looking closely at what they're spending, but we're just going mad out there. And they said that it's because of the great weather. Oh, yeah? What great weather? There has hardly been any. No, I don't buy it. I think that must be a mistake. I demand a recount. Here's Selsdon. Hello, Alex.
Hi.
Alex.
Hi.
Yes, Alex.
How you doing?
Good, thanks.
You must be some kind of fruitcake thinking of buying a W12. What was that? The Audi or the Volkswagen?
The Volkswagen.
Those things, they're like a barge. Yeah. For one person to sit in a motor that big is just obscene.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I was trying, because I can't think of any car that I actually want.
Really?
They've all got something wrong with them. And so I thought, well, it's the height of luxury, yet it doesn't. I'm talking about a Volkswagen Phaeton. You don't hardly see any. Oh dear.
Okay.
Oh dear. Excuse me. Yeah.
I'll take over the show next.
Yeah, go on then.
I called in and told Victoria I wanted to talk about motors, but I'd try and keep it a little bit not too geeky.
Blimey. Yeah, all right. I'll try not to be too geeky about it. Excuse me. The VW Phaeton. It is huge. You're quite right. It's like as I said a week or so ago, it's approximately the same size of a cross-channel ferry. It's massive. But it's got all the tricks and gizmos and... essentially, it's a Bentley, but it doesn't look like a Bentley. It's not quite as luxurious inside, but it's like a stealth car, where you look at it and it's so boring, it's almost invisible, you can't see it.
That's right. It's what the police call a Q car.
A what?
A Q car.
What's that?
It's got the Q factor, which is, you look at it, very, very boring.
Yeah.
But the thing will do nearly 200.
Yeah, exactly right, yeah. Essentially, yes, it is a Bentley, but in a really dull suit.
Yeah.
And for a fraction of the cost. I mean, that's the thing about these things. I mean, as a I can't buy a new one, but as a second-hand car, well, I mean, the price just goes through the floor as soon as this gets driven out the showroom.
I did see Clarkson talk about it.
Well, that's the thing that turned me on to it, yeah, because I read his column every week, and he loves it.
Right, another motor.
Yeah.
I'll keep it brief. I know you read every paper every day. Have you seen this month's car magazine, CAR?
No, I don't read magazines.
Right, well, the front page, I mean, it stopped me in Sainsbury's and I actually dropped what I was holding.
It's not that Beamer thing that's made out of fabric?
No. It is a BMW, though. It's do you remember the M1 from the 70s?
Yeah.
They've redone the M1, and this thing may or may not get built.
Raj has dialed up a picture of it. Is this what he's talking about?
It's rust orange colour.
Yeah.
It looks like a 25th century submarine. It's just insane.
It kind of looks like the new Lamborghini. I love it.
Don't you just? I mean, this is what I mean about cars as art. Why does somebody crap in a bed and that's art, but people who sculpt these gorgeous things? I mean, can you name 2 car designers?
Chris Bangle.
There you go, BMW man.
Yeah, and
Okay, I asked the wrong person. You stop people on the street, and they've got no idea, have they?
Well, no, you're absolutely right, yeah.
Yet most people can name that woman who craps in beds and sells it for hundreds of thousands of pounds.
Yes. No, you're quite correct. Some cars, very few though, are works of art, and they because they're essentially sculptures writ large, because that's how they come up with the designs of cars. They sculpture them out of soap or whatever it is they balsa wood or however they imagine them. They actually make the physical thing.
I think I saw a documentary of one of the Italian guys. It might have been Bertone.
Bertone, right? Okay.
Or Bertone, however you pronounce it.
Yeah.
He was sculpting with wax. He was literally using a knife and wax.
Yeah.
And sort of sitting there for a couple of hours until he had the outline of what he wanted to do next.
Yeah. However, almost every car on the road is really, really dull. I mean, there's almost no exceptions to that rule. I think one of the reasons is because the laws now that govern what a car actually looks like are so lengthy and various that the manufacturers are finding it difficult to come up with something that looks different.
The car that I'm still running around in is a 1994 Japanese model. And it's got the pop-up headlights, which I really like. Right. They're actually now illegal. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. Well, because if you hit someone, they'll be...
Exactly. It's a very sharp angle on which to break your back. They got phased out in about 2000. One of the last cars you can get with pop-up headlights is a Corvette. But this is a little Japanese Toyota. It's got to go because I've got a baby now, and 2 seats is not the thing, is it?
Right.
It'll be a shame to see it go, but I'm a fan of pretty cars, and like you say, there's very few around, and those that are either German, Japanese, or Italian, with almost no exceptions.
Well, yeah. Well, it depends what you mean by German, Japanese, and Italian. I mean, would you say that the Mini was German, or would you still class it as British?
No, it's not British.
Well, I know, but then nothing is. I mean, the Aston Martin isn't British anymore, and that's about the prettiest car on the road.
They're very, very pretty. Yeah, I almost cried at that James Bond film, not at the love story, but on
when he flipped it.
7 times. And they should just lock these people up. It's crazy.
I know. Yeah, what a crime. All right, thanks for that, Alex. 0845 6060 973. Oh, when men start talking about motors, it's fascinating, isn't it?
Boring!
Oh dear, the fruit and nut mix that I was enjoying doing the news almost killed me. Here is Atlanta. Hello, Steve.
Hello, Nick.
Steve.
You all right?
Yes, very well, thanks.
Okay, you're
still
not
alive
joking or anything?
Not yet, no.
Okay, good. I always find it interesting when people have their little pet solutions for the problem with the youth. And especially, you know, when people say that hitting children is the problem and they don't get an opportunity to hit children enough. And I saw an interesting statistic.
Who says that? Who's complaining that they don't get the opportunity to hit children enough?
Well, yeah, that's exactly what people are saying. You know, it's like, oh, you people can't discipline their children now.
Oh, I see, right.
But the thing is, you know, children in prison, people who are in prison are 3 times more likely to have been hit as children.
Children in prison are 3 times more likely to be...
not children in prison. People who have committed crimes and gone to prison
right.
are 3 times more likely to have been hit as children than people who've never committed a crime.
Well, it depends what you mean by hit. And, of course, these sort of things are often not linear. If you get hit as a child, doesn't necessarily mean that you're 3 times more likely to go to prison.
No, I'm just saying it doesn't help.
Well, it might not have anything to do with it directly. It might be that you're more likely to get hit if you have bad parents, and you are more likely to go to prison if you have bad parents. It's not the hitting part that sends you to prison. It's the bad parents part.
I totally agree. I'm saying, you know, they're offering it as a solution to crime.
What, hitting children?
You know, yeah.
Right.
You know, it's like the problem is kids aren't disciplined enough. You can't smack children nowadays. How many times have you heard that? How many times have people called you up and said that?
Oh, yeah, on a daily basis, yeah.
But, you know, there's no evidence that, you know, you look at successful rich people who've not committed a crime, there's no evidence that those people were smacked more as children.
Now, I know that you don't have the same sort of rabid press that we do in this country, in America. Neither do you have really what you'd call national newspapers like we do. I mean, we complain about our press a lot, but I think that we actually have the best selection of press in the world here. When you go to America, there's precious little to choose from, am I right? But you do have talk show hosts over there who sort of fill the role of the national sounding board to gain the mood of the nation. Are the public in America also exercised about youth on the rampage?
No, because actually crime statistics have gone down since the 1990s.
Well, they say in this country that crime statistics have also gone down. It's just that in this country nobody believes them.
Well, no, I mean, it is noticeable. I mean, you've mentioned it about New York on numerous occasions, but, you know, a lot of cities in America are just safer places. I'm reading an interesting book now called Freakonomics, which theorizes that the reason why crime rates have gone down starting in the 1990s was abortion being legalized in the 70s.
Right.
So there's not this glut of unwanted children plaguing the city.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's actually a really good book. I mean, the subtitle is A Rogue Economist Explores the Hidden Side of Everything.
Who's the author again?
Stephen Levitt, and he's an economist from the University of Chicago.
So that is quite bizarre, though, because, I mean, we perceive America to be much more... I mean, essentially, America is where we get our behaviour from. What happens in America happens here 10 years later. Or at least it used to, until the Internet came along, and now that...
So maybe things will get better 10 years down the road from now without actually having to initiate any draconian laws.
Well, it's not the laws that are the thing, because we've got no end of laws. It's the using the laws that we seem to be falling over at. And the answer to any problem seems to be creating ever more laws. But these laws they're put on the statute books, but they're not actually used. I think that's the problem here. Steve, I'm sorry, but I'm up against a break. But thanks anyway. Cheers. 0845 6060 973. It's 9:16. LBC Travel with Helen Austin.
Thanks, Nick. Well, the M4 is closed.
Let me talk to you. Let me talk to you about our high. Something seems to be wrong with me. Let me tell you about the How Low auction, which is going on at the moment. It's for one of these MacBook Air laptops, that fantastically thin device that can fit inside a manila envelope. It's got the lot. An 80GB memory, wireless internet technologies. It looks just fantastic. There cannot be a more desirable laptop on the market right now. It's a reverse auction. The bid with the person with the lowest unique bid wins. The lowest bid in pence that no one else makes will walk off with this laptop. The game closes 5:30 tomorrow. If you would like to join in, you can text LBC plus your bid in pence to 88821. If it was a bid of 57 pence, for instance, it would be LBC 57 to 88821. And the bids will cost £1.50 plus your standard network rate. Lines close 5:30 p.m. tomorrow. Bidders must be over 16. See lbc.co.uk for full terms and conditions. It's a great lot, that. The best of luck. I think I might save this over till tomorrow. Companies with bizarre or preferably amusing names. I mean, there's no end to them. Every high street's got one. They're usually hairdressers, right? So I'll do that tomorrow. Save them up and call them, text them, email them in, however you want to do it, tomorrow. Because it hasn't I haven't really mentioned it that much today and it hasn't taken off. The phone number 0845 6060 973. A text. Toodle along, only put half a tank of petrol in, turn off the aircon. Saves huge petrol, boring though. I hadn't actually thought about that. I don't know about you, but whenever I go to fill up, I fill up until I can squeeze no more petrol in the tank. But it hadn't really occurred to me that actually increases the weight that you're dragging around massively, doesn't it? I mean, if you put 50 litres in, well, if you think about how much 1 litre of liquid weighs, 50 is huge. I mean, they say take the stuff out the boot, but if you only fill up your car by half, doesn't that make much more sense? I hadn't even thought about that.
However,
yes.
Economically speaking, I heard that you should always fill up, because if it's half full, all the fuel's slushing around and it starts evaporating. So it might be more green because you're not using as much fuel, but for your wallet, it's not very good.
Evaporating?
Yeah, because fuel instantly evaporates. You know, it evaporates a lot. I don't know what the term for it is. It evaporates.
But where does it go?
And if there's I don't know, into a gas. There's a lot of gas in your fuel tank as well. Apparently.
There's a lot of gas in me right now. Actually, this tea's
fruit and nuts.
Yeah, this tea's backing up on me. That doesn't make any sense at all. Doesn't sound like you know what you're talking about, Victoria. Evaporate? Well, it's got to evaporate somewhere. I mean, if in an enclosed cylinder, if water evaporates, it just collects as water on the top of the cylinder and then drips back down again, doesn't it? I mean, it's got to go somewhere.
I think the other argument for filling up properly is that your last litres of petrol won't last you as long as your first litres. You get more out of if you've got a full tank.
Why?
Because you can save petrol if you're low on petrol. If you turned off your radio, for instance, you get more mileage out of your car.
Your radio?
Yeah, because it uses all up your energy.
Not your radio, surely.
Yeah, your energy. The radio will use up a lot of energy.
What? Even if you're listening to a talk station? Don't raise your eyes at the ceiling to me. A text. A barbershop in Ireland reads, "We need your head to run our business." Well, I suppose that makes sense. I'll do more of those tomorrow, as long as you send them in, of course. Looking around me, I think we could all do with a little less food. Yeah, well, you got that right, yeah. We could eat less food in this country and send it to Ethiopia. They're starving. On the Pilgrim's Way to Kent, there is a pub that has changed its name to the Dirty Habit. I'm not sure that the religious types appreciate the joke. Oh, these are all things that I was going to do tomorrow. I'll do today. Who really cares? Hairdressers in Scotland. I don't understand that one. And I'm thinking, because I don't understand it, I won't read it out because it might be rude. Do you understand that? An echoing silence. We're mystified. We don't get it, so we'll pass. A text. I am in the process of changing my Ford for a second-hand Reliant Robin. Oh, don't do it. It ain't worth it. It does 60 miles to the gallon, low tax, and doesn't rust. A Reliant Robin? I think I'd rather be in one of those plastic battery cars. Those are the cars that only have 3 wheels, right? There's an easy solution to overpopulation and food shortages. It's called Soylent Green. You're eating people. It's people. M25. Hello, Andrew.
Hi, Nick. How are you, mate?
Very well, thanks.
Good. You've got a very smart girl sitting working for you.
Oh, yeah.
And it's more economical, mate, to keep your tank full than it is to keep it half full.
Good. Well, I'm glad to hear it, because that cuts in half the amount of times you have to go to the petrol station.
No, mate, because of one simple reason, mate. The more empty your tank is, it causes more gases. It pressurizes your tank, and it puts it through your system a lot faster.
Right.
Yeah. Another hint, mate. If you want to save fuel, always regularly change your air filter.
What's that, then?
You know the thing, if you look at your engine in your car, yeah?
Yeah.
It's got a black box, yeah?
Oh, it's all black.
Okay, then. If you change your air filter, man, you'll save money as well, man. Because the cleaner the air filter is, the more oil you've got going through the system.
Right. I definitely won't be doing that anytime soon. I'll get someone else to do it. How's that?
Well, it's only like a minute job to do it, you know?
Right.
In fact, what's her name? Victoria?
Yeah.
He probably knows how to do it when you don't.
I know. I'll get a woman in.
Oh, Nick, another thing to save money.
Yes.
Don't spend it.
Don't spend it. Oh, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, good advice.
Okay, man.
Thanks a lot, Andrew.
Okay.
Don't spend it. There you go. And apparently we are spending it in ever larger amounts. We've got a high street boom on at the moment against all logical thought. Everybody thought that we were reining in our money. We haven't got any cash because basmati rice has increased in price by 98% over the last year or so. Bread has gone up by 50%, something of that order. Fuel has gone up by 40%. No one can afford anything at all, and yet the high street has never had it so good. But that defies all logic. Unless someone's made a mistake and they put the decimal point in the wrong place. A text. Peter is right. There isn't enough respect for children in school or at home. My mother is 87, but the little boy next door calls her by her Christian name. My children call neighbours or friends Mr. and Mrs. or Auntie and Uncle. Yeah, absolutely quite right too. Yeah. Mrs. Here, Mrs. we used to say. Can I have the ball back? Let's have, have we got time? Yes, probably. Romford. Hello, Glenn.
Oh, Nick. These spending figures in the high street.
Yes.
They're a con by the shops. The accountants are at work to try and induce some sort of well-being factor amongst shoppers. They're trying to tell everybody it's all okay and it's all right and to spend your money.
Oh, yeah.
Say it's a complete and utter fix.
How do you know?
Oh, because I know everything. Nick.
Ah, well, you should have said.
But you know more than I do. You said at the beginning of the week, you said inflation would be sort of nearly 20%.
Yeah.
I thought it would be 15%. We were both wrong. It's 19.8, isn't it?
19.8. How do you get that figure?
The same Daily Mail as you had the other day when you read it.
Oh, right. That's an average of the price of rice and pasta
and everything. Yeah. So you were sort of a smidging out, but not by much.
But isn't that bizarre? If the inflation is practically 20%, how on earth has anybody got any money to go and spend on fripperies in the high street?
Exactly that, which is why the figures are a fix.
Oh, I see, yeah.
How on earth can the government then turn around and tell you to show some sort of restraint on a pay rise when the MPs are busy saying, well, as you've now told us, we want an extra 30 grand a year to make up for it? How does that work?
I've got no idea. But, of course, the next thing that follows a boom in the high street is an increase in bank rates in order to quell the spending. Here, Glenn, I've got to go because here comes the new news. I bet there's nothing good in it. LBC.
LBC.
On 97.3. News time at 9:30. Hi, Paul.
Hello there.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good now.
Now?
Now, yes.
What do you mean now?
Well, you know, I was...
none of your moaning.
Oh, here we go.
Did you see this story of the kid with his leg in the news? It's awful.
What? Oh, I think I heard you mention this, and it's like we should all be grateful.
Yes.
Never moan about our ailments again.
Exactly. You should shut up.
Yeah. Well, I'm not moaning about my ailments. I'm very well.
Do you want to read this?
Go on.
You don't
no,
actually
I
want to
don't
read
want
it.
to.
No, it's awful. But the stuff that kid went through, and he's got a handicap of 10. He was playing golf on crutches at the age of 4.
Goodness.
You don't care, do you?
Well, yeah, but, you know, when you've got a cold, you've got a cold. Or man flu, or whatever it might be.
Right.
Yes.
Tiger Woods playing through physical pain to win the what's it there, and you and me, it's just moan.
Yeah, but he's a multi-billionaire, isn't he?
Right.
He's getting us good rewards for being the best golfer in the world ever.
Yes. I don't think he's a human being, actually.
Well, you do wonder, don't you? Because he's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other field of sport where one person just stands out.
When he was playing tennis, Bjorn Borg was virtually unbeatable on any surface, wasn't he?
At the time, I suppose. Yeah. But now there's just quite a lot of people all in roughly the same area.
Well, no, the Roger
footballers
Federer.
he was winning a lot.
Pete Sampras, the Monkey Man.
Yes. That's true. But Tiger Woods just seems to be in a class of his own.
Well, I just mentioned all of the tennis players of recent days that I know. I've just run out.
So you're excited about Wimbledon, are you?
No, not really, no.
No. So, anyway, I've got my my Wi-Fi radio working. You'll be pleased to hear.
Really? And what was wrong with it? You didn't plug it in?
No, it's just working at the moment, but it's just a matter of time before it
well,
breaks
no,
again.
hang on a minute. You sent it. You didn't work at all.
No,
not a spark. And you sent it away, and they said there's absolutely nothing wrong with it.
It's fine. Just switch it on.
And so, what was the problem?
Well, I don't know. Nothing was the problem. They've sent it back, and now it does work. But just give it another couple of days, and it probably won't. But it's a very clever little device, because it's like just a normal radio, but you've got like 10,000 channels to choose from. So I'm just sort of randomly turning the dial, and you can pick a country.
Yes.
And then you just pick a station. So I listened to a bit of Australian phone-in this morning.
What, John Laws?
No, it wasn't. I don't know who he was, but it was quite bizarre, because it sounded just like our very own sort of radio, only with Australian accents.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Give me a call. Don't mind what you want to talk about.
Some of the best radio I ever heard was Australian. A guy called Doug Mulray, who was
I've heard of him,
genius. Anybody got any tapes of Doug Mulray on Triple M at his peak, then I'd be delighted to receive them. There you go, I'm asking for free stuff now.
Anyway, the big news on whatever station this was.
Oh, yeah.
They were all phoning in about Gordon Ramsay. That's swearing.
Oh, swearing, yeah.
And the F word.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. They're very upset about that down there, aren't they?
Yeah, well, they are. They've had a Senate inquiry into it because of all of his swearing. And,
are you sure you weren't on a time delay? I thought this was like a month old.
No, well, that's when they started the inquiry, but we've just had the results.
Oh, right.
And the results are that there's insufficient support for a ban, so basically he can carry on swearing.
Was the problem that he was swearing before a watershed?
Well, it went further than that. Initially, that was the complaint, but then they said it was just gratuitous, and he was just swearing too often, and they counted 100 swear words in one program.
Well, it's a living.
Yeah, it is, and a very good one for him.
Yes.
Yes. Well, we've had the Joan Rivers incident this week.
Oh, Joan, don't you love her?
Yeah. Well, I put out the call on, was it Monday, saying, where are all the Joan Rivers fans? I'm sorry to say there were not many coming.
But really, people were upset at Joan Rivers for having said that.
No, they weren't bothered about that. They just didn't really think she was very funny.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's had a moment, but she's now more into selling her line of jewellery, of course.
Well,
on QVC.
I think she makes more money doing that than she could possibly. I know.
She's not exactly glamorous, is she? She likes to think she is, but really, she's not.
I think Joan Rivers is more self-deprecating than any person I know.
That is true.
Bizarrely self-deprecating.
Yeah,
she is. She's the thinnest person in the world, and yet she calls herself fat. which doesn't ring quite right.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not having a go at her, but I just think she's an odd choice for, look at me and look at my jewellery. Yeah, you would think, yes, I want to look like Joan Rivers by wearing this jewellery.
But what kind of odd person would buy jewellery from QVC?
Well, yes, that's a very good point.
But I'm completely with her on her summation. On her summation of what's his name, Russell Crowe.
Oh well, yeah.
I refuse to watch a film with Russell Crowe in it now. Can't stand the man.
Yes. I'm going to say no more about that.
Okay.
But you're a bit anti-swearing, though, aren't you? I mean, I think you'd be you wouldn't want Joan Rivers or anybody else using F words on lunchtime television, would you? No.
I think I would have laughed out loud if I'd have seen that on TV, yeah.
What about Gordon Ramsay? Don't you think he overdoes it?
Well, yes. But I think the big difference is that Gordon Ramsay swears as a career choice. Like he's coldly calculated, whereas Joan Rivers was just expressing a well-thought opinion.
Yes, well, that's true, and she did think she was going to be bleeped, and it was for comedy effect. The trouble with Gordon is that I think when he first started doing it, it was sort of believable. You thought, actually, he really is cross, and he really is swearing, and now it's become a gimmick. And now he's swearing just for the point of it.
Yeah, well, and the point is, it makes him a lot of money. I think the difference between the two is that Joan Rivers has likeable qualities, whereas Gordon Ramsay, on the other hand, quite the reverse.
Yes, right. Okay, well, we're also going to be talking about the Narnia big premiere.
Did you like the first one?
I haven't seen the first one.
No,
and
I've
been
rubbish.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe I won't bother then.
Well,
but,
I mean, I was going to say it's for kids, but of course it is. But well, not really.
I think I'd like to see this one, but I'm going to have to watch the first one first.
Yeah,
I'd like to do that.
But as a child,
this is why I'm still stuck halfway through The Sopranos.
Right.
Because I had to go right the way back to the beginning. I don't like joining something halfway through.
Well, you've got to catch up, though.
I know.
I mean, you've got to watch one a day.
Yeah.
You must get on with it.
It's just, it's quite a commitment.
Well, yes. But once it's over, you will you will miss it, believe me, because nothing else comes close.
No, and it just makes it even longer, the time that I have to try and avoid the subject of what happens in The Sopranos.
Yeah.
So
I can't believe that no one's told you yet.
No, exactly. So don't tell me, otherwise
I won't.
I'll tell you the result of tonight's football.
Okay.
Right, I'll be here at 10.
Very good.
Thank you.
Clive Ball, coming up after the new news at 10 o'clock. The phone number here is 0845 6060 973. Here's calling Romford. Hello, Simon.
Nick.
Simon.
Hi, honey, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks.
Good. Nick, just go back to your petrol thing. I've sort of been conducting a little experiment of my own the last few weeks.
Yeah.
I live in Southend, business is in Romford. I've got a Renault Master van. You're familiar with what that is? Quite a big so-and-so.
Yeah.
Budget myself, before the whole world went crazy and petrol went up, I used to put £55 of diesel a week in it, which has now gone up to £75.
Isn't that shocking?
And it didn't fill it up.
Right.
So the last 2 weeks I've been, instead of watching the speedo, watching the rev counter.
Yeah.
I don't take it over 1800 revs. I run it like from home to work empty, nothing in it. In the back, I mean.
Right. Yeah.
And the first week, £74 brim bit, like absolutely filled it up without, exception.
Yeah.
And last week I put £63 in. I saved £12 in diesel costs.
Well, isn't that? It's incredible the difference that just being sensible.
Yeah.
Mates.
So working it out, every 6 weeks I'm going to get a free tank of fuel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's hell because I'm a petrol head. It's like going celibate. I'm lucky I've got like nice car at home. And so I sort of go out the weekend and press the nuts out of it,
But the thing with vans is, and people, and if you've never driven a van, you don't realise this. They are really quick, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, if you haven't got anything,
85, no problem.
But I mean, the speed of acceleration as well. If you haven't got anything in the back, you can blast away from the lights.
Absolutely. I mean, I used to get 30 to the gallon, which is good anyway. Now I'm up to 40 to the gallon.
Wow.
So the on-board is telling me. That's a 2.7 diesel.
And do you find that as you're driving around, you actually are calmer as you drive slowly.
Yeah, well, you notice more. And I was listening to you coming in tonight. It's absolutely true. Trouble is, the A127 isn't as interesting as the centre of London. There's a lot to look at, like, you know.
Right.
But tonight I was listening to you. I heard you start talking about it the other day, and you started again tonight. And I actually hooked onto the back of a big Sainsbury's lorry, and I followed him for the bulk of the length of the 127. And I was literally in his slipstream, so it cost me even less.
Yes.
You know, because I was, you know, the van was just idling. So
I've always wondered about that. I mean, how near a lorry do you have to actually be? Do you have to be almost touching it in order to be dragged along in its slipstream? Or
I think, well, with a lorry, you don't have to be quite as close as with a car. I mean, like if you watch the Formula One, I mean, I love the Formula One. Yeah, like, they literally handle each other's gearboxes. It's not as bad as that with a lorry, but you can certainly feel it. I mean, when I was first trying to slow myself down a couple of weeks ago, I noticed it because I got into the slipstream of a lorry. It must have been about maybe a car length, a tight car length away.
Right.
You can still get, I'm in the tall van, don't forget. So in the car, it's even better, like, you know. But yeah, as soon as I pulled out, I glided past him without even, 500 extra revs.
like a slingshot.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works, isn't it? And how they overtaken the Formula One, it's like that, and hang on to the gearbox and they get out and they get slingshot round because you've got that much extra.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for the good news, Simon. Cheers, mate.
No problem, you have a good one.
There you are. He's saving the world. And he's calming down and saving himself some money as well. How about that? 0845 6060 973. A text. The world can cater for everyone's need, but not everyone's greed. Oh, you see what he did there? And a sign on a cafe in Ireland, stop here and eat or we'll both starve. I'll do that more tomorrow. If you've got interesting names of businesses or slogans and such like, as I said, most of these are with the hairdressers like Curl Up and Die and... I can't remember any of them. Where'd you get your hair cut, Raj? He hasn't got any. You must do it at home, right? There's absolutely no need for you to go and get that done. You just drag a razor blade over it, right? Thereby saving yourself an enormous amount of money. I'll have a number, what is it, a 0. He's a 0. I don't mean that you're a 0. I mean, yeah. 0845 6060 973. It's 9:44 and a quarter. LBC Travel with Helen Austin.
Thanks, Nick. Well, the M4 is light.
Here's a call in Hendon. Richard.
Hello.
Yes, Richard.
Hello, I'm not in Hendon.
Where are you?
Oh, I'm on the A2.
Ah, very good.
Yeah, not quite, but almost.
Rightio.
Rightio. I've sussed why there's a boom in the retail industry.
Yes, this was on the news. It said that the high street is experiencing a mini boom at the moment, against all logic. Go on.
It's all thanks to the government.
Yes.
Yeah, the expenses.
Oh, you mean it's government ministers spending their expenses on the high street?
Well, probably their misses, but yes.
Right.
Yeah, so it's solely down to them.
Well,
with our money, with our tax money.
Yeah, you might have something there.
I think I have.
Okay, well spotted, Richard.
Thank you very much.
And they're going there in cabs, paid for by us too. A text. I watched a film this week called Idiocracy. It was hilarious in a genuinely terrifying way. Yes, I've seen it. And it's the first part of it is very, very funny because the idea of it rings truth bells as soon as you start watching it. You think, oh, blimey, that's exactly where we're heading. Have you seen Idiocracy? Essentially, it's a man is put into deep sleep and wakes up some 500 years later and discovers that what you see in small increments today has, over that period of time, caused society to become incredibly stupid. Because essentially all of the, people with 10 children aren't the brightest, by and large, are they? Families with one child or two children will be doctors and lawyers and, professional people who are smart and intelligent. They don't tend to have that many children. Dumb people who aren't that bright tend to have a lot more children, by and large. Not in every case, but that's the trend, right? And so over millennia, the result is that, of course, your society just becomes more and more stupid. Hence, it becomes an idiocracy. Yeah, it is quite entertaining, that movie. It's well worth an hour and a half of anybody's time, I think. Another text. I was sat in yet another traffic jam on the road in and out of Gosport some years ago, and while I was staring out of the window, having become calm after being angry for so long, I realised that traffic jams don't go on around you. If you're in it, you're part of the problem. I sold the car, best thing I ever did. I hire a car when I need to visit the rallies and go on public transport when I need to visit relations around the country, and public transport is too complicated and expensive. I don't understand. Well, you had me and then you lost me. I don't know. Would you be prepared to sell your car? And no, you see, no, neither would I. And I came to cars really late. I was over 40 by the when I first had my car. I've still got my first car. I've only ever had one car. And up until that point, I couldn't imagine having a car. Why would anybody need a car in London, I thought? You never need one, you can't park, it costs too much, and the roads are always clogged. Go by tube, use the bus. Get a cab every now and again if you really, really need to. But after having had a car, I can't imagine a life without it. I mean, how do you even go to Sainsbury's? Other supermarkets are available. It's just so nice, because you go somewhere, it takes you exactly where you want to go, and it sits and waits for you until you're ready to leave. Isn't that great? Eltham. Hello, Phil.
Hi, Nick. Hi.
Very well.
Yeah, good thanks, Nick. Yeah, just your quandary with following the new news with the old, what do they call it? The shopping income. What's it called? Through the till sales? Still booming?
Yes, that was the story, yes, that the High Street is undergoing a mini boom, yeah.
It's absolutely baffling, because surely, where's the credit coming from? Maybe it's credit sales for stuff like sofas, TVs, where the creditor has some sort of guarantee of goods that they can recover in the event of a default, as opposed to Visa cards or other credit cards are available.
Well, I don't think any... Well, I think the thing is that we haven't yet got used to... It's almost as though we don't equate putting things on credit cards to actually costing us money.
Mm.
Because it's one removed, we don't associate that it costs anything. And buying something on the internet is even more one removed. I don't know about you, but whenever I buy something on the internet, it always seems like it's free. You tap in your little details, and then someone brings it around. It's great.
No, exactly. Sorry, Nick.
Well, I was just going to say, it's like presents.
Yeah. Well, it's like, would you nick a pen from work? Yes. But would you nick...
Who, me?
A quid from the petty cash? Well, probably no.
No.
But it's sort of the same thing. It's similar psychology.
I don't follow that at all.
Not a pen, a bad example, but it's one removed, the pen.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay, yeah, I get you, yeah. So people are putting it on the plastic, maybe, and it's like, to hell with it, I'm depressed, so I'm going to spend some money. Maybe that's what that is.
Yeah, but surely the plastics have stopped doing it. That's what I would have thought.
Well, I think it's becoming more difficult to get a credit card, but if you've already got credit, they're not generally taking that away, are they? Or are they?
Probably not, apart from Egg, who did that.
Did they?
I thought so. They reined in a load of customers.
Right, yes.
Unless they're counting stuff like pawn shops, where people are shoving a load of goods back for cash.
Oh, PAWN. Right.
Yeah, I'm not...
Well, I didn't know what you were talking about.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
I thought you just meant, people are still spending money on the essentials.
Exactly, yeah. Well, it's quandary anyway, but quite interesting.
Yeah, it's bizarre, yeah, and it's actually not going to do us any good, because if they, when the Bank of England sees that high street spending is going up, the only thing that they can do to dampen that down is increase rates, and that's the last thing we need.
Yeah, Yeah, on top of energy.
On top of everything else, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Phil.
Cheers, mate.
0845 6060 973. Talking about stealing things, by the way, I don't know if I've actually got time to do this now. Probably not. But maybe I'll do this tomorrow. It's about compact discs. Sales of compact discs are through the floor. No one's buying them anymore because everyone's stealing them. What would you steal? I'm looking at Raj. I don't know. Yeah, I don't really expect him to give me an answer. What would you steal? What would I steal? Okay, let's be brutally honest about it. I got an LBC 97.3 pen, which I take home with me in my bag. I stole it. But I do actually only use it at work, and that's the truth. It's true. It's in my bag, the bag that I bring to work. But it was an LBC 97.3 blue pen. It's beautiful. Writes just like a pen. So I stole that. And not much else, really. I mean, when I was a kid, you know, you nicked from the pick and mix at Woolworths. But who didn't? That was about it. But, have you stolen music? Hands up who hasn't. All those people with their hands down are lying. What about television programmes? Movies? All of that stuff on the internet, we got to assume, or not to assume, we almost felt as though, if it was on the internet, it was free. As though it was some sort of Wild West anarchic pirate community out there. If it's available on the net, it's free, we thought. And only now are we coming around to the notion that perhaps we should be paying for it, just like we do if it was a physical product that we had in the shop. I mean, would you walk into HMV and put the new Coldplay single in your pocket and walk out? Of course not, because you're a person of taste. Would you do the same to Muse, or, you know, a band that is actually worth nicking? No, excuse me, not if it was a CD. But if it was on the net, would you download it and listen to it on your little MP3 player? Well, who doesn't? I'll get into that tomorrow, maybe. We haven't got time now, because I've totally run out. Oh, no, I've still got 30 seconds left. I'll take this call. Maybe there's an answer to all of this. Hello, Pat.
All right, yeah, first of all, yeah, I'll do Joan Rivers, but I know why the high street shops are flourishing.
Go on.
Because the euro is very strong, so people are coming over here with loads of converted euros into pounds and buying all the rubbish in high street shops.
Oh, they come over here, they buy our rubbish.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Pat.
Bye.
Cheers. Hey, Raj, what have we talked about tonight, eh?
We spoke about good grumbles, Berlusconi being in and out of court, weightier matters, Vlad Putin lampooning the Kremlin, storming for audits, one-way tickets to Siberia, games were allowed to play.
Blimey, if you only heard this list, you'd think this show had been about something.
Exactly. Freedom of information laws, MPs' expenses, car tax, average speeds, running the planet, Morris Minors, petrol gauges, using less petrol, motorway driving, giving up cars, being green, tough love, answers to our prayers, petrol in the 60s, costs of running cars, small cars, knocking puppies over.
Oh, puppies? Knocking puppies over?
Selling family cars, £400 car tax, filtered oil, pottering along, people carriers, thinking ahead, economic pages, winter fuel. Oh, hi, Keith.
Mike, you old